Hey, good evening and welcome. It is time once again for CU Immigration here on WRFU-LP, Urbana, 104.5 FM. I will be your host for this evening. My name is Mr. Garza, and I am here to let you know that WRFU is an open forum for the Urbana-Champaign community. I would further like you to understand that views expressed are those of the speakers, and those views are not intended to represent WRFU, UCIMC, or the Urbana Socialist Forum, or, as we like to say on the TV version of this show, UPTV. These views are our own, and by our, in this instance, I mean myself and a whole room full of people here, which I'm not sure how we're going to introduce everybody, but welcome everyone. I can't see you all. I'm going to have to turn like this. If you could introduce yourselves, it would be really nice because I can't do it.
Hello, my name is Jaime Velasco. I'm an undocumented student here at the University of Illinois studying history, specialization in intellectual and legal history.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Andrea Herrera, and I'm an alum of UIUC, but right now I'm working as a GEO staff organizer and also a member of CASE.
And hello, my name is Nancy Cardenas. I'm currently a second-year graduate student in the Education Policy Organization and Leadership Program, and I'm also a member of CASE.
Hello, my name is Ali Guattari. I work for CU Immigration Forum, and I'm also a member of CASE.
So, I have heard the mention of CASE here a couple of times. Would someone or anyone or everyone like to tell me what CASE is? What does that stand for? Anyone? Someone?
I guess I can start off. So CASE is the Coalition for Accessible Scholarships for Everyone. This is a relatively new coalition that aims to promote and advance state legislation that would allow undocumented students access to financial aid here in the state of Illinois.
Oh, cool.
Yes.
So what happens right now if you're undocumented and you try to get a scholarship or something like that? Can you? Is it impossible? Are there some available but some not, or how does it work?
So as an undocumented student, I can testify to this answer. There is no financial aid. There's no government help for undocumented students, whether you're academically capable or you're part of the community, you know, doing service and whatnot. Mm-hmm. There are private scholarships such as the Illinois Dream Fund. It is a great step towards helping undocumented students, but there needs to be more.
Yeah, so this would make government or official state, federal kinds of scholarships available, right? Or just state scholarships?
Just state at this point in time, yes, for Illinois.
There's like three people sitting here going, nodding and saying nothing, and you and I are having a conversation. Like, you can use that, yeah.
Okay,
There you go. Point it right at your face. So it has to be kind of like sort of at you and sort of near you. Oh, okay. Just pretending to have something. Okay, Ali's got something.
Also, when we're talking about the Illinois Dream Fund, currently it only helps 98% of the sorry, other way around. It does not help 98% of the applicants. So
how come?
It's basically, like the scholarships are ranging from $2,000 to $6,000 and only can help like a few people. It's like chances are really limited of like actually getting this scholarship. There's not enough funding.
Oh, so the money runs out. It's not that its restrictions are so limited or anything. It's just like, okay, we're done. You know, 2 people, and that's it. Yeah. This is probably a difficult question, but what is like the average cost? Oh, two parts. Okay, first, is this a state? See, I'm going to betray my ignorance. Is this a state where they charge? Out-of-state tuition to undocumented people, or do they charge in-state tuition?
No, Illinois charges in-state tuition
for
undocumented students who are residents of Illinois.
And so what, like, and I know this is impossible to pin down, but what is the average cost, let's say, of university education, ranging like, you know, say like $10,000 or 20 or 100 or, you know, what?
About $20,000 a year for graduate students.
$20,000 a year?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So if you have like a 4-year degree, that gets into big money.
Yeah.
And what does the Dream Fund cover, like roughly? Like how much do they offer?
$2,000 to $6,000, and only I think 26 people were able to get it in 2014. So that's
nothing. I mean, that's
Yeah.
like they.
Like over 1,000 people are applying for this scholarship, and like Andrea said, like it's only 26 people that are actually receiving it.
Mm-hmm.
So you're leaving out a huge chunk of
Oh, yeah.
students.
And then
And
even
2,000 to 6,000 is nothing. That's covering your textbooks for, the year.
yeah, right. So like even if you do get it, it's like, oh great, I got that much. That's something, but it's a start. So this is actually a really big deal. Now, didn't they try to do this? Was it last year or something? And it kind of almost succeeded, but not quite, or something like that. You can't nod on radio. You can nod on TV, but you have to say
well,
yes.
yes. I think they tried to push it through last spring.
Yeah.
But they didn't. They were 8 votes short, so I think they didn't call it for a vote. So now they're rewriting the bill. So currently it's being rewritten, and it's going to be reintroduced in January.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, the original bill included the MAP grant, so undocumented students would have had access to the MAP grant. Now this new bill won't have that, which is unfortunate.
And how does it explain to me what a MAP grant is?
So a MAP grant is something that you can receive as an undergrad here in the state of Illinois. I think it's need-based. Is it? I think it's need-based. I got it as an undergrad, and it covered about 10 grand for a year for me in tuition apart from everything else. So it's like it would have been a huge deal if they could have had access to this because it covers a good chunk.
So scholarships aren't need-based, or they are? I mean, how is this different from another kind of scholarship? This isn't a loan; it's a grant. It's just like
It's a
free
grant
money?
through the state of Illinois.
Oh, I see. Okay, I get it. This is all very complicated. I mean, you're probably all used to dealing with it as students, but to those of us who aren't or haven't been in school for a while, it's like, wait a minute, how does this work? So, pardon me if I'm asking stupid questions, but
Also, this bill is going to exclude community colleges. It's only going to cover financial aid for 4-year public universities.
now why is that? Is this a way of sneaking it through because it's going to be cheaper, or is there some rationale to that makes sense to somebody? Apparently not, because they're handing the microphone back and forth. Like, no, I don't know.
In terms of like budget-wise, this bill wouldn't call for an increase to any type of budget in education. So it'd just be like adding a student, like by adding them so they could also compete with anyone else for state financial aid. But the rationale for excluding community colleges, I don't know.
It's a first step.
But then again, it does increase access to higher education and not just community college, because the goal is to have more students go into higher education and not just into community colleges.
Yeah, which kind of gets into the whole topic of what is higher education for? I mean, what's it about? What are we hoping this? There are people trooping by outside carrying things. I don't know what that is. What are we hoping this will do to help? I mean, obviously, it's helpful for people who want to go to school, but so somebody tell me, why do you want to go to school at all? I mean, what's the point?
When you consider institutions like the U of I, they offer different opportunities for students that community colleges don't offer.
Mm-hmm.
You have access to more resources. You have access to professors who are doing, well-known professors who are conducting really important research that can definitely make a difference. And it also offers students that opportunity to kind of network.
Mm-hmm.
And offers them that opportunity to not just get an education, but to network, to get an opportunity, to have the opportunity to work in something that they're interested, whether it's at a university, a government, or anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely, there's a lot more resources in higher education, university level, rather than in community college.
So if one were to make broad characterizations, they might say that community college is more a technical training for getting a job.
And even when you look at
Middle-class
transfer
job.
rates from community colleges, it's very low.
Mm-hmm.
So, especially for minority students. So that's why we don't want to just focus. So we would want to just focus on community colleges. We want to focus on higher ed.
Yeah.
Because we know that sometimes when students go into community college, the chances of transferring to higher ed or to a university, it's very low. So we can have students get into a 4-year institution they have a higher chance of not just continuing with their education, but actually graduating.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay, that's interesting. But by the same token, isn't higher ed sort of funneling people towards academia, kind of in a general way, like, oh, well, you're going to teach this, you're going to teach that, you're going to learn, you know?
Not necessarily.
No?
So I originally got my bachelor's from here, and then got my master's at UIC, and I wanted to head into academia, and then I was like, no. And now I'm working for a union. But what it did provide me, at least both my undergrad and my grad degree, is one, like critical thinking skills, writing skills, like those types of transferable skills, but also like being at Urbana Champaign and like organizing and in activism, like this at this place and at UIC, that's where I got like my training, so to speak. Like this is where I learned how to organize. This is where I learned about all the different issues, how to think about them, how to question them, the history behind, let's see, immigration, not just taking what the media says at face value. So I don't think it can only lead to academia. I think sometimes it is focused on that, and you have to get a little creative of how you can work your degree towards other careers. But like right now, I'm not in academia, and I don't think I'll go back anytime soon. But I'm an organizer here, and it was through my connections both at Urbana Champaign and at UIC, like my experience with the GEO at UIC, which is a labor union for TAs and GAs up there. Also, that's how I was able to like get the job here and get the experience and make all the connections that I have here coming back now.
So it's a life enriching experience.
Yeah.
Is it a life enriching experience in a way that community college wouldn't be, or is it just more so of the same thing?
Honestly, yes. What you learn at the university level compared to community college, it's definitely, there's a huge difference, especially because this institution really is focused on research. So a lot of the material that you get from that and from your professors who are specifically working on a lot of important issues definitely adds on to your experience and what you learn.
Mm-hmm.
And especially the involvement that there is on this campus that you don't see as much in a community college is definitely a great experience.
Okay. You look like you were about to say something. You grabbed the microphone.
So for me, the U of I is a world-class institution where great ideas are tossed around, great ideas are formed here. And as an undocumented student, I do have the privilege of being part of these conversations, being part of the activism here at the U of I. For me, it's been a game changer, you know. I also thought I was gonna head into academia as well. I love teaching, but there needs to be change. There needs to be people out there who should advocate for change, who should be voicing for people who are not being heard at this point in time. And that's what the U of I has provided me here.
Oh, cool. So you're going to head in a direction like Andrea is doing and become an activist after you graduate from it?
I am somehow and will be in law school.
Ah.
I will be in law school no matter what my resident status says.
Yeah. Are you in law school now?
I am an undergraduate. I'm a junior.
Oh.
So pre-law.
Pre-law. Okay. So you're going to be. I can see you're wearing for the non-TV viewers. He's got a tie and like a suit coat on. So
I like to dress up. It's a form of respect to everyone around you. I feel like if I don't not me personally. No, me personally. I feel like I would disrespect people if I'm not showing my utmost respect to them. So that's how I personally see it.
I see.
Yes.
Like you dress to impress, right?
That's right. I forgot I was wearing. Okay. Well, for the radio audience, I'm wearing a three-piece suit and got a Rolex watch on, and I'm looking pretty fly, I would say. For the TV audience, forget I just said anything like that. And they can't see me anyway. It's all over here. Anyway, so that's law, huh?
Yes.
That's a very useful thing for anyone who's interested in activism to study.
Yes.
Because then you know kind of what you're doing. Is that does that seem, given the money situation right now, does that seem like a realistic goal though at this point, or it becomes infinitely more realistic if this gets passed?
So for me,
yeah,
higher institution was not a realistic goal for me. I had financial barriers that I was only beginning to realize in my junior and my senior year in high school. I excelled academically. I was part of the community, but I was seen as an outsider. And attending the university was not in the cards for me, but I made it happen, and I will make it happen. And this coalition aims to help other students who are in the situation, the high school students, the elementary students who are eventually going to face these barriers, and that's why we're here to advocate for them.
Did you this? Forgive me if this is a personal question. Don't answer it. But when did you realize you were undocumented? Did you always know?
No, I actually know the English language more than the Spanish. I was raised here my whole life.
Oh, okay.
I can't dance like Latino music.
No. What I mean is a lot of kids have their status is their parents don't tell them about it until they get to like, I want to get a driver's license, and then it's like, oh well, let's have the talk.
For me, I actually noticed. Well, now I'm documented, but when I wasn't documented, when I was younger, I noticed it since I was a toddler. You notice those things where why can't, when they ask for Social Security, why we couldn't fill that form out, or why we couldn't show a specific type of identification, or why I didn't have insurance, or things like that.
Well, how is it that some parents manage to shield their kids from that? Because I have known lots of instances where kids are like in high school before they realize that they like, oh, by the way, let's have the talk, and then
because
they're like, oh my God.
If they're not really paying attention to when your parents are filling out forms and when they have to fill in that Social Security, or when they're asking for your child's Social Security, if you're not aware of that, or you're not watching that, or if your parents are kind of doing it on the side, then you won't notice. But these things slowly start coming up, and you're like, wait, why can't I do this and why can't I do that? And for most high school students, once they get to when they're graduating, and they're like, wait, driver's license, my own insurance, maybe applying for community college or higher education, those type of things, that's when they start realizing, like, wait a minute, there's something different going on.
Because I would think that in terms of motivation, like you're obviously a highly motivated person. You're like, I'm going to make this happen no matter what. But I would think that if you were aware, like all the way along the line, that like, oh, I'm undocumented, I don't know what I'm going to do, I could be deported any moment, this would just sort of put a big damper on your enthusiasm. No?
No. And even research shows that students or a lot of immigrants are even more motivated than American-born citizens, because they come with that goal that no matter what, we're going to work hard and somehow it's going to work out at the end. Even I knew, I was like, well, I don't care. I'm going to continue working hard in school. I'm going to get my A's. I'm going to go to community college even though I wasn't documented, and I was paying everything out of pocket myself. And I was like, I don't care, because somehow it's going to work out at the end, and I'm going to continue. Why stop now? Like, by going to school, you're kind of already setting a path for yourself for success.
Yeah.
Because I already knew that if I have this done, and if something happens where I become documented, I can continue on, and I won't have to like kind of struggle to get to where I want to be.
Yeah.
And it worked out that way for me, that I ended up becoming documented, and I was like, okay, well now I started community college, I graduated high school, so let's keep on going.
Yeah.
And again, I wasn't even considering getting to a PhD level, and here I am. So definitely the motivation's always there. Like our parents, they come here and they're like, no matter what, we're gonna work hard. Somehow it's gonna work out at the end, but never give up. We're brought here with that mentality, and we're just like, no, never give up, never give up. We can't afford to think that way.
Yeah.
We can't.
So you just have to hustle, I guess, all the way down the line, one way or the other.
I'll reiterate what like Nancy said. Like, you can't afford to think that way. Like, so I was born here, so I'm not undocumented. My mother was, though. But that's like a little different when it comes to financial aid, because I still have access to it. I just have to like navigate that whole thing. But even when you're documented, when you come from like, so I'm from Aurora, East Aurora High School, underfunded. Counselors weren't always that helpful. Like, my parents were from Mexico. They didn't know the system. They didn't it's not that they didn't want to help me. It's just that they just couldn't. And I understood that they couldn't. So I had to do it myself. And when I was here in school, when I was in my master's degree, when I was in high school, it's just like I can't afford to think that I can't do it because I have to be able to do it. There is no if, and, or but. It'll just happen.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just the way it is, and somehow you do it.
Yeah, that's really interesting that you say that, and you all three are modeling this in different ways. I mean, I'm clearly from a different generation, but even back in my day, a certain kind of self-reliance was important in ways that were not necessarily important to, native-born kids who are just like, oh, well, I've got a system, I got family, I got friends, I got, the system is kind of set up to nurture me or just push me along, so all I have to do is kind of sit back and just go with the flow and I'll get there. Whereas for me, I was just always having to kind of hustle for myself and get by. And it's interesting to me to hear these stories from you guys, because it's the same story in a different way. I mean, I chose a different path. I didn't do all the same kinds of things, and I went off and became a musician and all this stuff. But it was the same kind of like, I'm going to make it, and I don't have anybody to look to help me. There's nobody's going to help me with this, so I have to do it on my own. And that has been my kind of model throughout my life. And I'm interested that it's still the model. It's still the sort of the immigrant or first, second, whatever generation immigrant model of I've got to make it, and nobody's going to do it but me. That's interesting. That's really interesting. So you're just like, at what point, I wonder, do you get to relax? I still don't relax. I'm still like going all the time.
I still don't. I'm still
Same here. Like I think for example, my mom, we like a year and a month ago, she got her green card after like 25 years. Yay! So we were able to relax a little bit, but then like the green card doesn't fix everything, right? It's still like the economic aspect. Like I have a good job here. I have still loans to pay off, but like my family also has loans, and like so it's like we're able to breathe a little bit, but not really. Like you don't really relax. I don't know how to relax still.
No.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, that's I've these past 2 weeks I've been thinking, how should I relax, right? Just take a day off for myself. But I feel that as days progress, that I would waste time relaxing.
There's too much to do. There's so much.
Too much to do. So little time. Many people are out there struggling right now. And
Yeah.
I, as a student, as people here at the U of I, we're in a position of privilege and power. So we should, at any chance and every chance that we have, take advantage of it.
Yeah. Now, is it just financial or is it status? I mean, like class sort of, are you trying to get ahead because of money, or are you trying to get ahead because of something else, some more nebulous goal? Like, what are you searching for?
We do want to have a higher income, but for me, it's not like, oh, I have to be in the top 1%.
Right.
For me, I do want to get to a position where I can, feel like I'm comfortable, that my family will be comfortable, and that will also allow me to be in a position where I can have the time and money to help my community.
Mm-hmm.
So personally for me, I've seen the financial struggles. I lived in predominantly Latino and African American community, but in the grand scheme of things, I think everyone just wants to be incorporated into the whole American dream myth. I think everyone should participate in that American dream, and currently undocumented students are struggling to be a part of that, of trying to achieve that dream.
Yeah. Well, who was it? I think it was Chris Rock had a bit a while back where he was talking about the difference between having money and being wealthy. And I don't remember I won't attempt to quote him, but he was talking about, he was saying something along the lines of like, black people have money. There's a lot of black people with money. I've got a lot of money, but I have no wealth. We have no wealth.
No, we don't, yeah.
And that's, at least for me, when I'm thinking about money, I'm not accusing anybody of like, I just want to have a Ferrari and all that. I don't mean that kind of thing. I mean some kind of support so that you can lean back and go, okay, I'm resting on something. There's not like air back here that I'm just going to fall down. If I go backwards, I fall. It's more like there's something to fall back on.
Yeah, and that's something that we want to pass down to our children because, like you said,
Yeah.
especially among African Americans, and I think those we don't have almost any wealth.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, and one thing that my family and I have talked about, not just like me and my siblings, my aunts and uncles, both here and in Mexico, is around like my aunts and uncles in Mexico are actually doing financially better and more stable than, for example, my mom and us here. Like I have other aunts and uncles who are doing well here in the U.S., but at least for our situation, like I go to Mexico and I'm like, they're middle class. Like, what are we doing here? But like anyway, like with my siblings and I realized like we don't own anything here. Like we lost our house back in like like 2 years ago. So like the only place we have in this world is my grandmother's house in Mexico. Like apart from my aunts and uncles here, but like that is the only place I feel like I can lean back and relax. Like that is a place that like we have access to. And so in terms of like wealth, like even now that like just thinking about it, like I have this job right now, but I have nothing accumulated. I lose this job tomorrow and I'm like, cool, I paid off my credit card debt. I still have all this other stuff. Like I'm still, even now with this job, like I'm trying to get myself like off, like on my feet, trying to help out my family, and also trying to like enjoy myself a little bit. But it's still like I don't have anything to lean on. I have no other income. No, like right now in my family, I'm the one who makes the most money.
Yeah.
Like I'm the only one who has benefits in my family and has health insurance, which to me is so weird because I'm like, oh my god, I have health insurance that isn't a student insurance. Like really, I have dental, I have vision. Oh my god.
And 401k.
Yeah.
I'm just like I don't even know what that is very well, like savings, but I'm like I haven't even thought that far ahead. I'm just like, oh wow, this is really new. This is really, really new. So
And it's not just about money. I mean, it's easy to talk about this in terms of dollars and cents because it's quantifiable. You can say, okay, well, I don't have money, so I can't do this, or I do have money, so I can do that. I mean, that's kind of how we're framing it right now. But there's more to a support system than money. Yeah. There are people who with a certain kind of knowledge that you can turn to. Like, and I'm sure that at some point or other you've all run into this in trying to like fill out forms or do something where it's like, who do I ask about this? You know, you don't have like a cousin or an uncle or a brother or whatever. You can say, how do you fill this out? And they go, oh, it's just, you know, it's like, I don't know. So I have to like find somebody who knows this stuff and hope that I can trust them so they can tell me. I mean, it's things like that. Life is full of stuff like that I think people who grow up here don't necessarily realize how many ways they depend on a network for just little things. Just, you know, maybe you only ask one time for advice, but that one time is very helpful because having somebody who knew, where do I get my plumbing fixed, or you know, whatever, somebody goes, oh, you just do this. If you don't have that, you have to figure it out. You have to figure everything out from scratch every time, all the time, and that's a burden right there. I mean, there's so many burdens that you carry with you that I think a lot of people don't realize that are tiring. They just sort of take something out of you every day. It's like, I got to deal with this, I got to deal with that. And of course, as students of color,